Speaking to you from New York City. And our guest today, Dr. Malassen Hamida Twahir, is speaking to us from Nairobi about Kibra or Kibera. It's my pleasure to introduce her and to moderate today's program. Housekeeping for those attending who want AIA continuing education credits. You receive credit and must stay for 45 minutes. Please use the learning objectives attached to the invitation and the AIA self-reporting option to receive your credits. For those joining us for the first time, the organizer of this series, the Consortium for Sustainable Urbanization, is devoted to building bridges between the United Nations and civil society, including design professions, business, academia, etc. The mission ranges from increasing awareness about emerging issues, facilitating knowledge transfer between and among policy and decision makers, and fostering connections, cooperation, and collaboration, while all the time promoting the United Nations 17 Sustainable Development Goals, especially Goal 11. We work in partnership in the spirit of collaboration. We want to make sure we thank all of today's program partners, especially the UN Habitat New York office, the AIA New York chapter and the DFRR committee, the UN Habitat Professional Forum, the NGO Committee on Sustainable Development, New York, Columbia University, CBIPS, and CEL, the Creative Exchange Lab. I want to invite everyone to visit our redesigned CSU website, see our resources, see our publications, and join us for the upcoming 2024 events. Today's Green Cities speaker, Malassen Hamida Twahir, is a social, political, environmental conservation, and climate change effects activist and champion. Born and bred in Kibra, Malassen is the mother of 3 and a community leader. She hails from an ethnic minority community that was settled in Kibra in the 18th century. Educated in Kibera primary school, she then went to the Muslim Girls' School and the University of Nairobi, earning her diploma in adult education and community development. In 2011, Malassen was chosen representative of the CBO in Nairobi's Urban Land Forum County as Secretary General, and in 2017, she was elected chairperson of the Nairobi Local Urban Forum, a position she still holds. That same year, she left the Nubian Rights Forum and formed the Mazingira Women's Initiative Group, undertaking tree planting, solid waste management, urban farming, climate change mitigation, and adaptation strategies. Malassen's nickname is Mama Mazingira because she's so passionate and as an environmentalist and climate change champion. To date, the CSU has had well over 20 green cities programs, but none yet on a slum or informal community, a significant quotient of global urbanization. And today, while today's discussion cannot begin to cover the breadth of this reality, it can certainly illuminate the aspects and the challenges of and the opportunities that deserve our attention, our recognition, and our action. On a more personal note, I met Malassen in Nairobi during the 2nd UN Habitat Assembly held on the United Nations campus last June in Nairobi. In the room of 2,000 delegates, I had the very good fortune to be introduced to her by one of her colleagues, Evans Wanioni, after which our conversation suggested Malassen's experience and expertise would be of interest to the CSU. While this was my first visit to Nairobi, I had earlier viewed townships outside of Durban with Rick Bell on the call and extensively toured the Rosina favela in Rio. These experiences gave me a dramatic introduction and view of these extensive environments, much varied by cultural context and geography, but still sharing many characteristics. These global communities, informal communities, and the challenges they face going forward are of critical importance. It is reported an estimated 25% of the world's population, or 2 billion people, live in informal settlements. Today, now, we're privileged to have a rare insight from a native Kibera dweller willing to share her knowledge of this major urban reality and what advice she can give to further improve our environment. I know there are going to be many questions from Malassen. Please use the chat function to submit your questions, and we'll do our best to answer them all. Thank you. Malassen, the screen is yours.
Thank you so much. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. In Kenya, Nairobi, it's evening, 8 o'clock in the evening. And I'm glad to be part of this process, part of this journey of CSU, and taking you through what actually Kibra is all about. I believe some of you have read or have heard about Kibra, with its locality and its issues. That we have global ways of actually amplifying the voices of Kibra. But today we're going to talk about issues of breeding. Those are some of the issues which are very important to us in Kibra, and we are actually looking into issues of climate change as an aspect, issue of lives within the informal settlements, the resilience of the communities living within the informal settlements of specifically Kibra, which is the largest slum in Eastern Central Africa, which is second to Soweto of South Africa. And as I've been introduced, indeed, I'm from the Nubian community. It is the ethnic minority communities in the Kibra constituency or sub-county. And there is a lot of good things happening in Kibra. People coexist and people work together from diverse communities, diverse religions, diverse political affiliation, whereby Kibra makes a lot of noise in terms of political affiliation, and everything actually starts from Kibra. So you might have heard about Kibra on a different setting on the political aspect, but there's a lot of good things happening in Kibra. People coexist. There is issue of social cohesion, where people have a sense of belonging, of actually being part and parcel of Kibra. In Swahili, they call it nyumbani. Nyumbani means it is home for very many people. Therefore, I will share my screen and start my presentation on the same. Yes, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So welcome to our greening of Kibra. And I would say that it's one of the most important things for Kibra, because Kibra means land of forest in Nubian language. And Nubian population, according to what actually left, alluded to, settled in Kibra a century ago. They were recruited from the Nuba Mountains, which is southern Egypt and northern Sudan, land of which is also called the Nuba Mountain, is actually referred to land of gold by the British Army around 1870 to serve as King African Rifle. So they played their part in the defense of Kenya and East Africa during First World War and Second World War. In Somalia, Abyssinia, which is now the current Ethiopia. We have also Madagascar. They also played a part in Madagascar and Burma. They are the first inhabitants of Kibra. And the area that is Kibra currently was actually surveyed in 1912 and later gazetted in 1917 by the British Imperial Government. 4,197 acres for the Sudanese soldiers who served as an African Rifle soldiers. The 4,197 acres has been subdivided by the Kenyan government for several uses, like we have meteorological department within the land, the larger 4,197 acres. We have University of Nairobi, which is formerly Kenya Science. We have Bomas of Kenya. If you've heard about Bomas of Kenya, is a landmark in Nairobi County. We have Nairobi Dam, which is the only dam within within Nairobi County, which acts as a carbon sink, which was actually used for different purposes. We have Cabernet, whereby it was the residence of the former President Moi, the late, and we have a school, Moi Girls. We have different estates. Just to mention a few, we have Jamhuri Day, Onyonka Estate, just to mention a few. The community remained with unutilized land of 680 acres, but the President Uhuru Kenyatta, the former President Uhuru Kenyatta, in 2nd of June 2017, gave 288 acres to the Nubian community title deed. The past Kibra that we had, Kibra is a blend of rural, and peri-urban setting, which had villages, homestead with large compounds that facilitated farming, cattle rearing, and actually with a minimum of 5 acres per household. It is just the typical village that we had in Kibra, the ones that we have in the urban area, in the rural settings. The area was green with all kinds of indigenous trees. Bearing in mind, I said the word Kibra means land of forest. We had a lot of fruit trees. River flowing from within and on the towards borders of Nairobi Dam, which is actually was used then for swimming. Fishing was actually being done. It was actually a tourism attraction for recreation. That is the purpose of the Nairobi Dam that we had in the past. That is the past Kibra. The location of Kibra makes it attractive to everyone who would wish to live in Nairobi. In the east is Nairobi National Park. It is the only city which has got a national park. Nairobi is the only city with a national park, and the national park is just 5 kilometers away from Kibra. We have Nairobi Dam, which neighbors also Kibra. We have Wilson Airport, so the proximity has got different land uses, which is actually something that is very attractive. We even have Langata Barracks, bearing in mind. The Nubian settlers were actually soldiers. They were recruited as army military soldiers. So Langata Barracks is just close to Kibra. To the west is Woodley Estate, Kilimani area. Within the south is Karen and Gong Hills. We have it is an extension of Kibra. The forest that actually Kibra was an extension of actually Gong Hills, while to the north is Kenyatta Hospital and Nairobi CBD. Yes. So these are some of the past photos of how actually the households in Kibra used to look like. That is it is within 1970s, 80s towards 80s, towards the end of 80s. These are still the houses that we had. And currently we don't have this kind of houses, but also this is what we have currently. Yes, this is the aerial view of Kibra. So there are so many reasons as to why now Kibra looks like this. And bottom, I will take you through as to some of the reasons as to why Kibra is what it is now. And this is the aerial view of Kibra. It is like a brown blanket, yes, from the aerial view. But just a few of photos that during the community engagement, this is how it looks like on the ground. So this is the pathways, the different areas, different villages, because in Kibra currently we still have villages, okay? And this is the map of Kibra. This is the map of Kibra. And as I said that we are within the proximity of different land uses, whereby we have right here, this is Nairobi Girls, this is Moi Girls, and this is the area within there is a football playing match area here and part of the CBD. And this is Uhuru Park, actually. This is Uhuru Park. And this on this side is Nairobi Dam. This is Nairobi Dam. And on this side, this is Karen. This is Ngong here. And so this is the area that Kibra actually, these are the areas, as you can see, it is brown, which actually signifies the brown sheet from the aerial view. So let me see. Yes. I'm trying to do something here. And this cursor of mine is not moving. It's let me see what happens. Yes. Oh yeah. So objectives of this session is just to get to know the urbanization impacts on the lives of the Kibra residents and community interventions to make Kibra green, and how community members respond to climate change effects, because currently we are undergoing a lot of climate change effects, and as residents of Kibra, we are feeling the effects of climate change based on within the urbanization frameworks. So, and finally, the last objective is how the community has responded to adaptation and mitigation of environmental degradation. So, on urbanization impact, in 1970s and 80s, I said we had a lot of rural-urban migration was actually very rampant due to the search for employment within the urban and capital city. Kibra started to have receive influx of people from all over the country, proximity of the area to the city center and industrial area. Therefore, urbanization and sprawling settlements made the slum the second greatest in Africa. Rural-urban migration made actually the rental housing business very attractive and dependable due to market, because as people are coming to Kibra to search for greener pastures, so they are actually part of the market for the housing. And Kibra being a dormitory area, it made Kibra a dormitory area whereby everyone coming from different areas, they actually think about coming to Kibra they'll find cheap and convenient settling area. Unfortunately, the dense forest that actually Kibra presents had to be cleared to pave way for settlement. Hence, we have reduced tree cover by a larger percentage. But also, a spatial plan and zoning plan for Nairobi County is very imperative to enhance land uses, physical land uses that can clearly demarcate and outline Kibra space. We can outline the green spaces that is within the guidelines. It has to be 15%. We need to have riparian land. We need to have horizontal infrastructure and well-planned Kibra that is in the near future. Yes. In line with the community intervention, as I alluded to, the Kibra is one of the area with different ethnic communities actually coexisting and living together. And actually, I will tell you that we have the largest proportion in terms of the ethnic communities. Actually, we have intermarriages in Kibra. We have all the 47, that is the 48 tribes, except India, but any other communities in Kenya actually live in Kibra. So within the community intervention, we started Mazingira Women Initiative Group that was formed in 2018 as an environmental grassroots movement to address environmental conservation concerns with a membership of 20 women and 10 youths. The group works around thematic areas of tree planting, solid waste management through cleanups, waste recycling, urban farming, urban agriculture. Basically, we grow our own food, climate change adaptation and mitigation trainings for the women and youth, and partnership with like-minded institutions towards achievement of holistic goals of SDGs. Yes. So within Mazingira, this is what we do. We do tree planting, and we have a project of 500,000 fruit trees program that is being undertaken in different areas and institutions like schools, within the hospitals, within the riparian area, within riparian that has got available spaces, within the open spaces. We have within institutions of prayers, that is the churches and the mosques. So those are some of the areas that we actually grow, we plant trees and actually enable it to grow. In this particular picture, this is myself in Mbagadi Hospital. Mbagadi Hospital is a county hospital in Nairobi that actually has got space. So we usually target spaces, institutions that has got spaces, and we plant trees in them. Okay. These are some, but a few of the photos that I've taken. This is in this one. This is Kibera Primary School. This is within the school that I actually went to. This is the exercise that we have in the school. We had with the students, with the teachers, and the community members, basically the parents of the students. We actually invited the parents, and with the children and the teachers, we actually planted the trees. And the children, actually the students, and those are their pupils, they adapted, and they're actually watering those seedlings. So we have a good best practices there. And in this second school, this is in Langata West Primary School, which is just a neighboring school from Kibra within Langata area. This is just a neighboring school to the neighboring area of Langata. Yes. This is the solid waste management activity that we usually carry out, but this was actually a river cleaning exercise. This exercise, we were very lucky to be, it was graced. We did an invitation to a United Nations Habitat, and they actually honored our invitation, and they came. Right here is UN Habitat ED, Madam Maimuna Mohd Sharif. And as you can see behind here, this is the Czech ambassador to Kenya. They also graced that occasion. So that cleanup, we actually had an opportunity to partner with UN Habitat, ED herself and her team. And the embassy also joined us. The ambassador to Kenya from the Czech Republic. And this is the river that actually flows within Kibra. This is one of the river which flows within the Kibra informal settlement, and the cleanup was actually being done on this river due to the challenges of solid waste management. There's a lot of dumping that happens within this river. So we deliberately decided to do cleanup, and we continue sensitization to it. So this is one of the rivers that passes through Kibra, and Kibra has the river passing within from Woodley, Kianda. Those are different areas within Kibra, from the eastern part and the western part. So the first river is within the eastern part, and towards the western part of Kibra, we have Tianda River, which flows. All these rivers actually meet at a particular junction, and then it flows to Nairobi Dam. Then it feeds into different locations. It passes through different locations that ending up to Makueni County, and then it flows as Athi River into the Indian Ocean. Nairobi Dam was actually constructed in 1959 for recreation facility, fishing and swimming. And the dam played a critical role in tourism industry. There was a lot of there was a hotel and water landing place whereby it is just next to the Wilson Airport. And the dam is currently full of hyacinth and vegetation and waste, for that matter. So that is something that the river cleanups intends actually. We've decided to actually do a deliberate cleanup for the river just to reduce waste from flowing to the dam. It is part of the blue water's restoration. That is one of the carbon offset and the carbon sink by the dam and the rivers as well. And it's also a source of livelihood for the communities living around the bank. The riparian actually also plays a critical role in enhancing green spaces that at times we plant trees, and we have urban farming that actually takes place within the spaces. So beginning of this year, the government of Kenya actually formed Nairobi Rivers Commission with an aim to fully rehabilitate the catchment-based areas of the Nairobi River in order just to make it a recreation site, to make it beautiful and part of beautification, to make it clean, whereby it can actually act as a carbon offset and carbon sink. It has also mapped organization. Mazingira is equally part of the organizations that has been mapped to see how best the rivers in Kibra can be rehabilitated and restored to the previous functions that it actually took place. So as Mazingira, we've been involved in the same. And this is how this map shows. I don't know whether it's clear. Is it clear? Hopefully it is. So this is Nairobi River. This is the whole river in Nairobi County. This is how it actually passes. We have 3 tributaries. So from below, this is the area where which passes through Kibra. So Kibra is around this area. Okay. So it passes. This is Ngong Forest here. This is Ngong Forest, and then here is we have Dagoretti, and then we have Kibra. There is Nairobi Dam around here, and then it goes to Southeast. So Kibra is around this place, and the South Sea, and it goes to Kayole, it goes to Donholm, Jiru, Ruai, and then it goes up to this end where it goes up to Makueni, which is actually a different county. It's a neighboring county outside Nairobi. And as Mazingira Women Initiative, also what we do a village and roadside cleanups, bearing in mind we have trenches along the road. These are the drainages, and this is what we actually do. We do cleanups and unclogging of the trenches just to allow water to flow, the liquid waste to flow, and actually to remove the waste out of it. And other cleanups that we actually do within the areas, along the roads, within the community areas, whereby within the village also we also do the cleanups. We also there's a lot of farming that is happening in Kibra, and I would say that this is one of the aspects that this is part of the climate change mitigation strategies that we actually decide to employ because the water is becoming less, and Nairobi is a consumer county whereby food actually comes from the neighboring county of Murang'a and Nakuru County and Nyandarua County. So at times with the processes of actually transportation of food coming to Nairobi, there's a lot of cost implication. So we've decided as Mazingira to actually start urban farming so that it becomes part of the mitigation to climate change, bearing in mind those who are actually producing food depend on the rain-fed agriculture. So Mazingira has actually reclaimed a space that was a dump site next to the office. The vegetables were grown on the ground on the conventional methods of farming that is on the ground. And then we also recycled basins and plastics, which we used for growing different types of green vegetables. As you can see on the photo, this is cabbage, and we have kale, and we have spinach, and out of the waste we produced organic manure, and which we actually use in our gardens. This is a photo of a lady, a member of Mazingira, who is actually doing weeding on the ground. That is the previous the ground method, and we did the plastic method as well. Excuse me. Okay. From plastic to ground conventional method to modern design of agriculture. So this is the new design that we have in Mazingira Center, whereby we use different method. Now we are from the conventional ground growing to this particular method, which is multi-story garden. This is a plastic trough, which is very hard plastic trough, whereby we made it a cone. It has got 4 compartments going up, in fact 5 compartments, and then around the compartments we actually grow vegetables around it. So by the end of the day, the kind of seedlings that we have, we grow on the conventional method, it can fit in just one corn garden. So that is how we scaled up and actually enhanced our yield and actually the vegetables, and we installed several corns. That means our yield became more, and the issue of livelihood was actually enhanced around with the members, and the growing, the nurturing, and actually the nutrition aspect of the growing. And this is what we have. Also, this is what it looks like. Here we have indigenous vegetables, and this is kales and different settings with different types of vegetables around Nairobi. We were lucky as an organization. We did partner with different institutions that in mind we actually enhance and actually take care value SDG 17, that is partnership with different institutions, those who come and visit our farm and they support us within the growing processes, and we've been supported to actually put up this. And this is our latest. This is our latest method of actually farming. This is hydroponics. Hydroponics, this is around the farm. So we have a mixture of hydroponics. When you look at this is the hydroponic pipes. But when you look at this photo here, this is the conventional multi-story garden that we had previously. So we just upscaled with hydroponics, and then it's a combination whereby this center is now part of the learning center. People come to learn about different methods of actually growing food. So hydroponic is basically a technique of growing plants using water-based nutrient solution rather than the soil. So the advantages it has and the goodness is that it conserves water and the crops actually grows faster and it maximizes the space because this type of farming method can actually be installed anywhere around the compound. Even if you don't have a big space, it can also be done within the compound and around the backyard. So if you have just a small piece of land, this can actually is one of the most effective systems. This both the multi-story and this hydroponics, and which is the latest. And we've heard of aeroponics. Aeroponics, we don't do it in Mazingira yet, but we'll explore it as well. Yes, this is how we've managed to make Kibra green, and actually we've installed multi-story gardens to different organizations, to different local, actually it's local groups, not really very big organization, to local groups. We have 5 women groups that we actually installed to them the multi-story, and we have also a youth group that we actually installed for them this kind of farm, and they're actually producing their own food. They're actually learning to be patient with the growing processes on the social aspect. It actually cultivates the issues of patience and actually growing processes. It actually shows them that indeed you cannot put a seed on the ground one day and then the second day you have food to harvest. It takes time, it takes nurturing, and it takes a lot to actually accomplish that. So welcome to Kibra. This is a slum where everybody coexists. All the ethnic communities are in Kibra, and we live like a large family. And it is one of the informal settlements. You can just come and you find people smiling land. Welcome, welcome so much. Thank you, thank you. That's my end of presentation.
Thank you, Malassen. Thank you so much. If we could return this to speaker view, Chitra. I have some comments. First, thank you for this fantastic presentation. As I said in the introduction and the invitation, what a rare view to hear basically from someone on site about life in such a large and extensive type of environment that we rarely get to see from the inside out. I was, in my research for this, I found an article, a column by the Pulitzer Prize winning New York Times journalist, Nicholas Kristof, written this year, who said that the Kenyan slum has something to teach the world. That was his title. In the slum, lifetime sometimes feels free for all. People have to steal electricity, tap into overhead lines, children walk through to trickling water and so on. But he ended up by saying, and I think what you've said, he said, yet this is an uplifting slum. Against all odds, Kibera is also a place of hope, and it offers a lesson in bottom-up development that the world should learn from. And what impresses me in what you just showed us was, in fact, that bottom-up activity and behavior. It was the community itself. I didn't see large-scale industrial services coming in to manage the landscape. I saw the people themselves doing that, which I think I see more and more in places around the world where communities get together and they clean up their own rivers and they clean up their own waste and they learn to do that. And for that, I appreciate it. We have a few questions. I want to, before I take up any more time, which I have some questions of my own, There was one question asked about actually the quite beautiful images of the produce of the gardening of the product. The question was, how are the vegetables sold? Is there a supermarket or an open farmers market? And how does the food get to the consumer? That was part one. Part two, was there a plan to add trees to the residential area, or is there not enough room to do that?
Okay. For the consumers, the vegetables that we actually grow, we sell to our neighbors. We sell to our neighbors, and we sell amongst ourselves as members of Mazingira. But also the neighbors have an opportunity, usually get an opportunity to come directly to the farm to actually purchase the vegetables. And on tree planting, the trees now currently we are doing it in schools, in institutions of learning, in schools, in hospitals, because currently those are the places where we have at least land, whereby we can actually grow the trees. But within the settlements along the road, the area is packed, there's no space. There are just small spaces whereby it cannot accommodate tree planting. So tree planting we usually do in institutions, in green spaces. That is where we actually plant trees.
Thank you for that. Something I noticed, and a question I have.
Yes.
And part of this is based on my experience having visited Nairobi and Eastleigh and neighborhoods close by. This is the environment of Nairobi seemed to me the goal of contemporary city planning, meaning most people seem to walk. I know there's public transport, but there's no obvious transport within the community of Kibra. My assumption is within people walk, you don't have massive amounts of landscape devoted to vehicles or trucks, or I don't see any of that. So there are two questions. How is Kibra serviced by municipal services? God forbid there be a fire. Does a fire end? On the other side is there a need, or is it satisfactory for the Kibra residents to continue to use the mode of walking into the future, as I would hope most cities would enable? So if you could talk a little bit about that, the mobility, movement, transit aspects.
Okay. Kibra is currently accessible in the sense that there is mobility, there are roads, and there are roads that are actually being done. We have feeder roads within the villages that actually services and give access for mobility for the residents. But Kibra is the population of Kibra. The transport system within the contemporary society, the informal settlement, the residents do not depend on the transportation system, because at times it's about the affordability aspect, and also the proximity of Kibra to the industrial area. So there are those who feel, okay, I might let me walk in order to save a little money, so I would walk. But also, it's one of the things that everyone is now advocating for, as you have alluded to. It is now the system that walking is one of the things, is one of the ways of actually reducing emissions from the transportation system, because we want to shift to renewable energy, renewable e-transport. So walking is one of the aspects that can actually do that. But okay, within the service roads, there is a challenge, because we have challenge with the pedestrian issues And within the Kibra, okay, the pedestrian is where the people actually do the selling of vegetables and like water bill. But it's the way to go. And a road that has got a wayleaf, has got walkway, walkways, and non-motorist system whereby people can actually walk. So those are some of the issues within the planning department and within the infrastructural development for the city to make a city accessible. These are some of the issues that have to work out.
Thank you for that. And I fully appreciate, and especially the comments relative to Kibra itself with its feeder roads. I must say, in my visit to the city as a whole, Nairobi, also obvious that people walk, successfully walk. The intrusion of modern roadways and the expansion of roadways, I must say, it was very difficult for me when I saw roads being expanded, sidewalks being removed for the expansion, so that the ability to walk was actually being reduced by the expansion of vehicular roadways. And in certain places, as you know, overpasses started to be built, but not completed. So in a way, in the outer part, in the city as a whole, I would say it's going to be a bigger issue than it is in the controlled informal settlement, where walking is the rule of the day and very successful. I have a question here from a colleague, Catherine Klein, always ready to ask a really good question. This is a good question. Is there an issue of land ownership at all, and in terms of developing the various projects you showed? So I guess it does open the question of tenure and land ownership. And if you could say a bit about that.
Okay, the issue of land tenure and ownership, remember in my presentation, I said the acreage, the land was actually allocated to the Nubian community. And currently, in 2017, the remaining land was, by 2017, the remaining unutilized land that is within the informal settlement was 680 acres. Now, in 2017, the former President Uhuru Kenyatta gave Nubian community a title deed of 288 acres. So the whole of part of the Kibra area is owned by the Nubian community. There is ownership, there is title. So they're coming with matter issues of how to develop. They're coming with the physical land use plan, whereby it has not come to place. It's still underway. And there are those areas that are not within the 288 owned land by the Nubian community. That is, we have different wards, which is outside that area. So with this, it's still at this particular point, there are spaces within the community that, for instance, my center is within the Nubian owned land. So the plan has not come into place. It is still underway. So the development might even take longer. So before then, and within that development as well, we gave our input as an organization to the Nubian community, because they are in the process of developing their own master planning concept. So we gave them our input as to how they should incorporate green spaces. We need to have a green area whereby actually urban farming can take place. That is a way of actually making Kibra more food secure. So those are some of the inputs that we give them. But for now, because we are still in the process of master planning, we as Mazingira, we are still comfortable. We have our office, we have a center. We continue to do our farming. Yes.
Thank you. And I'm going to ask a little bit of a follow-up question, but I want to first mention that I reviewed the list of our visitors in our audience today. And we have people from Denmark, we have people from California in the United States. We have a lot of visitors from different parts of Africa, including other areas in Kenya. Some reaching out in the chat, which I always hope can be preserved. I never know how to do it, but I guess one of your colleagues from another neighborhood, Sammy Kianzaku, to everyone asking if somehow you and he can meet so he can learn from you, which is as good as it gets in a program like this. So I'm pleased to see that we have an audience so broad in its geography. It gives me an opportunity to jump scale just for a second to the global scale and the activity of your president at COP28 in Dubai, who has been featured as a major speaker in the COP meeting, in part because he has taken the lead in forming a new organization of leaders from the global south to try and uplift their own selves without as much reliance on what may or may not be the appropriate response and support of the global north. And this has been quite nicely celebrated and appropriate at the COP. So again, he's been credited with great strides in responding to the global south, of which Kenya and Kibera are part. He was also quoted as having plans for the improvement of the Kibra community. And I know you may have just referenced this, but how will new global or metropolitan policies be of consequence to you and specifically to your activities on the ground? What will, does his commitment to plans for the informal settlements include not only policy, but major funding for the horizontal infrastructure and whatever it might take? And to what extent does it engage you personally and your community in the formation of plans?
Thank you for that. The president has taken lead because we had African Summit on climate change, and he was very instrumental in that to see things are working towards the right direction in terms of environment and climate change issues. And one thing he did, we had a whole day for tree planting. So it was a deliberate, a whole one full day for them, everyone across the nation to leave whatever they're doing to plant trees. And for us at Mazingira, it was actually a plus because it was an opportunity for us. Everybody was actually talking about tree planting, which is also one of the offsets and an opportunity just to see the catchment areas being restored. And in regards to what are the policies and upgrading of Kibra, if you remember well, in United UN Habitat Assembly, there was a team within the side event on slum upgrading agenda. And it became an agenda for all the informal settlements across the globe to see that actually areas within the slum site are upgraded to the level that actually people live in a I would say in a way that they're supposed to actually live. And in terms of policies, coming back to Kibra, he alluded to that fact that he's actually and the plans are underway to see that Kibra has been upgraded. He has actually already started, but it had been started with the previous regime. There was a slum upgrading program. There's already Soweto A. There's Soweto A, which was actually slum, and new upgraded flats has actually been installed in that place. It is there. So for him, he has actually seen to the fact that slum Soweto B is actually it has started. So it's another upgrade. So he reached out to the Nubian community, which is just a neighboring the area where the Soweto B is just a river that passes through between each and the 288 Nubian owned land. So he reached out and formed a task force that is to see how best the area to the Kibra Nubian 288 area can actually be developed. So he has reached out and he has given his pledges. He actually facilitated the whole 9 months for this team to come up to assess the best possible ways of which Kibra can be upgraded, whereby I got an opportunity being part of it. And our voice has been very strong on matters climate change and environmental concerns, on the development of the road and the infrastructure development, horizontal infrastructure, and also with on matters harvesting of water, storages of water, and having spaces for actually growing vegetables. So this is something that even if Kibra will develop today, it will be upgraded. We will definitely look for spaces to continue doing urban farming.
Thank you. Listen, there are two other comments that I want to just bring to our attention. One, a good question asked by another of my colleagues, friends from the CSU, about the extent or use of matutus, public vehicles. And I must say, Marian Kamutoto has answered that by saying that they're very common, in which case I'm going to go to the next question, which was raised by Rick Bell, asking how the greening initiatives of Kibera, including the hydroponics, can be repeated in the other informal communities. So I guess it's a question of dissemination and outreach based on your experience to other areas.
Absolutely. This hydroponics is one of the best systems. So we can actually, what we can do is replicate in different informal settlements within the informal settlements of Nairobi County. And we have plans for that actually. We are planning to scale up to different informal settlements, whereby we have 66 actually small informal settlements within Nairobi County. So given a chance and opportunity to scale up and also disseminate information in line with the benefits and how the know-how, the technical know-how of how it can be done.
Fantastic, thank you. I think we're running close to the end of our time, which we try to keep to. I must say, as I hoped, it's been an absolute privilege to have you share your thoughts with us. I think that's somewhat reinforced by the comments I see in the chat and the number of people who are thanking you for sharing your thoughts and experiences with us. I go back again and say that you're speaking in representation of an enormous quotient of the world's population. And in many ways, what we see by what you present speaks, I could say to one of my online colleagues, Ted Liebman, there are some people who are very interested in the advent of urban agriculture, food access, potential food scarcity, and you see happening on the ground in a place that you might otherwise think has a problem, where in fact it has a solution. So I think there are these two directions that we're going in, between the developed and developing world, where there are things to be learned. And thankfully, these are lessons that you can share with us. And I hope we can continue to keep this dialogue open in many ways. So of course, I invite you and your colleagues and others who have attended today to stay with us at the Consortium for Sustainable Urbanization, continue to hear and learn from other cities around the world, which we hope will stay as varied as the example you've given us today. and hopefully improve our lot going forward for all of us. So I want to thank you. I want to thank everyone who's joined us today for your wonderful spiritual support during the last hour, and look forward to meeting you all again soon. Thank you.
So much.
Thank you, Malassen.
Thanks, Lance, for a great program.
Okay.
A great learning experience. Lots of fun. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll keep this open as long as anyone wants to chat. I don't.
Well,
Hi, Ted.
I say that it's a great learning experience, but it really is enhancing our understanding that people, the social infrastructure, the creation of a community family is essential not only in informal communities, but it must be a goal in all our communities.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I say it's great to see Denise Everson.
Hi. I'm so happy to be here. I love Nairobi and I love the experience. So I could not wait to jump on. And I shared this opportunity with some AIA members who attended our housing webinar on Monday. So I gave you all a free commercial. So I'm so happy to see that this was wildly successful. Hi, Adrian.
So thank you. I have to say that I had the good fortune of being with Denise in many places. World Urban Forums. We were in Abu Dhabi together, along with Ted Liebman, and more recently in Nairobi with a contingent from the U.S. State Department. And these interactions, and I'm particularly grateful for the technology that allows us to meet the way we're meeting. No, nothing replaces being face to face, as we know when we dine and we talk. But boy, is this a great benefit to all of us to meet Malassen in community this way. So I thank you again.
Malassen, we're so excited that you were able to join. Thank you so much for lending your wonderful experience to us all. I could not wait for this.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Melissa.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Oxamite, for joining us. And before we close, as we know, we're going again into a wonderful holiday season for various groups around the world. And I guess it's a good time to wish everyone well during that season. I will keep the spirit up and say, let's enter this season with peace, hope, and love.
Absolutely.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. Thank you all.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.